Alright, so I'm back on video this morning because I got home and I went to go pay my lease. And I have to go through Google to get to my bank. So this is what came up on my feed. First thing today. And this is just like disgusting. This is Recode by Vox. Some Uber and Lyft drivers say they were misled into petitioning against their own worker rights. Several California drivers told Recode they signed messages from Lyft and Uber's typo, asking politicians to support their job flexibility without realizing they were campaigning against being classified as employees. Uber and Lyft have been aggressively campaigning against a proposed law in California, AB 5, that would upend their business models if it compelled them and other gig economy companies to reclassify their independent contract workers as employees. Now, some drivers in California have told Recode they've been confused and misled by emails and in-app messages Uber and Lyft have sent urging them to sign petitions or contract their local legislators to voice opposition to potential worker reclassification. One of the reasons drivers say they've been misled is because the messages Lyft and Uber have sent don't mention ABS at all. Both companies have markedly refrained from ever mentioning the law in their oppositional messaging, and they also don't mention the potential for drivers to become real employees. Instead, they warn drivers that changes to California law could take away drivers' options to drive at the times they want or work for more than one platform. For drivers who don't speak or read English well, Uber and Lyft's messages, which were not translated to other language, have been even more confusing. Wait a second. The fact is, if Uber and Lyft are forced to classify us as employees, we absolutely will lose our freedom to work the schedule we want, because employees work the schedule that the company needs them to be worked. And if you don't make your schedule, if you can't make your hours, what happens is they will cut your hours back and they will replace you with somebody who can and will work the hours. Okay, so let's just get that real clear. Okay, the other thing, where'd it go? About working more than one platform? Sure, you can work as many platforms as you want. You just can't work them simultaneously. Because if Uber is paying you as an employee, you can't be working for Lyft at the same time as an employee or otherwise, or Postmates as an employee or otherwise, because if you're on Uber's clock on their payroll as an employee, you are obligated to them for the time that you say you're on the clock and should be being paid as an employee for. Okay. Now, Uber and Lyft have denied any categorizations of their messaging as vague and misleading. Doesn't seem vague and misleading to me whatsoever. They said it. If you guys want to become employees and you allow the government to pass this law, you are going to lose your flexibility and your ability to work more than one platform. Well, one platform doesn't have a job for you. You're on their clock. You're getting paid minimum wage or whatever they're paying you by the hour. No, you cannot go take work from another entity. Okay? That is a fact. They are not misleading anyone. Now, it goes on to say, when I first saw the petition, I thought it was something for us drivers, said Anwar, a driver for Uber and Lyft who automatically signed Uber's petition and later regretted it. But when I talked to other drivers on WhatsApp, I learned more and realized that isn't the case. Number one, I am not responsible for the fact that this driver did not read what he signed. If he doesn't understand the language, then he needs to go back to the company and say, can I please have this translated into my language? Or he needs to go to someone who speaks his language and English and have it properly translated by somebody he trusts, preferably an attorney who speaks his language. Then it goes on, the Uber notification Anwar received urged him to sign a petition for local lawmakers telling them to help Uber fight for driver flexibility and independence. That's what they, yeah, okay, so they're wording it in terms that drivers can relate to. Okay, we know what their motives are. That's besides the point. Their motives are to try to get out of paying us as much as they can. Okay? But this is a whole different issue. One thing has nothing to do with the other. They're not deceiving drivers. They are just trying to explain it to drivers in a way that drivers can relate. Flexibility and independence. Okay, now Uber and Lyft are very smart in the language that they use. I just said that, right? They did not mention the law that lawmakers in California are trying to make. It only says they are trying to take our flexibility. That's the truth. Classifying drivers as employees is going to take their flexibility. First of all, because all the diamond drivers that work full-time are going to get their schedules. They're going to get first dibs on the schedules they want to work, and everyone else is going to pick up the slack. Okay, the driver with the highest rating and the best numbers has first choice of the hours he or she wants to work, and so on and so forth. That is what is going to happen. So you part-timers that don't go out to work, that expect to go out for 2 hours and make $30 or $80 an hour, you guys are the ones that are going to get kicked to the curb anyway. Then it goes on again. It says, I think you always have to be careful when an employer goes to an employee and asks them to sign something. The disparity of power in the situation means often the employee just signs it. California State Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez, who authored AB 5, told Recode. California Governor Gavin Newsom and State Senator Scott Wiener did not respond to requests for a comment on the matter, nor did State Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon, although a representative from his office said Rendon is in favor of ABS. Okay, going back to, I think you always have to be careful when an employer goes to an employee and asks them to sign something. We're not employees that are being asked to sign anything, okay? And it gets better or worse. Plenty of drivers said they understood Uber and Lyft's political messaging. You think? Most of us have a fair bit of intelligence. We're not stupid. If you're not reading what you're signing, then you're stupid. Okay? Yeah, plenty of drivers understand. Certainly all of the drivers that are talking on YouTube understand. And some drivers who spoke to Recode made an articulate case for why they want to remain independent contractors. It's plain and simple. I don't want to be on somebody else's schedule. If I want to show up for work late, I want to show up for work late. If my daughter calls me in the middle of the shift that her car broke down, I need to be able to leave work to go help her out immediately, not at the end of my shift. I want to do what I want. I work a schedule. I'm pretty consistent. But if I want to do something different, I don't want to have to be stuck on somebody else's schedule, worrying about that. If I step out of line in any way, shape, or form, I'm 2 minutes late, or need to leave early, or want to take a sick day, then I'm going to get fired. Okay, because in this industry, when they're scheduling drivers, that they have to pay by the hour, and a driver does not show up for a shift for whatever the legitimate reason is, that driver's going to be gone, because now everything is screwed up because they're understaffed. Okay. So plenty of drivers said they understood. We understand. And some drivers made the articulate case. A poll of 1,200 drivers by independent blog The Rideshare Guy last year showed that about 76% of respondents wanted to remain independent contractors rather than become employees. But other drivers felt the companies used disingenuous language around losing job flexibility to push their political agenda. They're just telling us how it is, okay? It's a whole different. The issue right now is not pay. It's whether we're going to be employees or not. Okay? If we become employees, we are not going to get paid more. We are going to get paid minimum wage before expenses. They might have to give us some sort of a gas allowance, but that's it. Okay? Minimum wage is what employees get paid. Employees is not going to get us paid better. And I have health insurance. Why would I want to get paid with health insurance instead of dollar bills? Well, these drivers want flexibility. They also want the kinds of benefits that would come with being an employee. Things like health care, paid time off, and workers' compensations. For many years, many drivers have complained about the lack of these benefits and low pay, as seen with driver strike in May. Uber and Lyft have said publicly in recent weeks that they'd be willing to improve driver pay policies, expand benefits, create a driver association in partnership with lawmakers and labor groups, but only if they do not have to categorize their workers as employees. Okay, if that's what they're saying, and they're making that commitment, and they're willing to sign with the legislatures, or the lawmakers, or these people who think they're smarter than people who've been in the industry and work out here, then go ahead and do it, okay? But that's exactly what's going to happen, okay? If we are classified as employees, we're going to be getting minimum wage before car expenses. And what? So we'll have some sort of a group health insurance plan that we have to pay into. No company gives health insurance away for free. You get a group rate and you have to pay into it. Paid time off, workers' compensation. Again, workers' compensation has to be paid into. You don't just get it for free. Look at any old W-2s you have. You will see the deduction. And just for the record, a company can require independent contractors to pay for workman's compensation, even though it might be against the law for even though it might be against the law for independent contractors to have to pay workman's comp. And I know this because I went to the Arizona Department of Labor, because when I was working at a messenger with a messenger service, I signed, when I signed up, I didn't realize that I had to pay for workman's comp, because I had worked for this company before and they had a different contractor management company and they didn't have it. So, I just was like, yeah, I thought it was the same thing. But no, they had added this, and I talked to the Department of Labor, who said, yeah, it's against the law. And if they require you to have workman's comp and deduct it from your check in order for them to contract with you, that's their requirement. In order to contract with you, you have to agree to it in order for them to contract with you. Well, you don't have to agree to contract with them. That's your option. Okay, so it's the same thing with this. They actually, if you want workman's comp that bad, they could actually require you to pay into the workman's comp fund out of your pay in order to be contracted to get work from them. So, just so that you guys are all aware of that. Now, Anwar, a Yemeni immigrant who chats in a WhatsApp group with other drivers, said only after talking to other drivers did he realize the full political context surrounding the issue. He criticized Uber and Lyft for not directly mentioning AB 5 or linking to context about the bill. The messages from Uber and Lyft did link to a recent joint op-ed written by executives of both companies that addressed worker issues, but they did not make any direct references to AB 5. This is such bullshit. Other drivers told Recode that because of the manner in which the in-app messages appeared in Uber and Lyft, that they thought it was mandatory to sign a petition or send an email to legislatures. In the Uber app, these drivers said the notification resembled other important notifications, such as terms of service updates that drivers have to accept in order to continue driving. When you look in the app, it looks like something important you have to check. No, it doesn't. Okay? There are all sorts of information that comes in on the app. I get hearts for getting a tip. I get stars for something else. If I get a message from them, every message is different. I open every message and I look at it. Yeah, I signed when they did send me something that I needed to sign to keep working because I know I'm not going to like what I read, and I know what I'm signing, basically, and I know if I want to work, I don't have an option. So I signed it, okay? But anything else, it says it right there, whether you need to sign it to continue working or not. So going on, when you look in the app, it looks like something important you have to check, said Al Aludi, a driver for Uber and Lyft for 7 years and an active member of driver activist groups such as Gig Workers Rising. When you see that notification and photo in the app, it usually means you have to go in the app. Uber and Lyft have maintained that their message was transparent and that they were clear that participating in the campaign to contact legislatures was optional. Messages were sent in a transparent manner, and drivers were not required to support the petition or take action in any way prior to accessing the app. An Uber spokesperson told Recode, who also said that drivers who opt not to take action will not be impacted in any way. A spokesperson from Lyft shared the message in the Lyft driver app was only visible if drivers navigated into the news section of the app. Reading it was not required to go online and drive, nor for any other reason. Which tells you right there, I would never see it in the Lyft app because I don't look at that stuff. There's a lot of bullshit in there that I don't need. Language difficulties. Drivers for whom English is a second language reported being particularly confused by the messages. Most of the drivers I know, they don't speak English very well, said Omar. Oh no, here's a whole other can of worms. It is not my problem. If these guys want to work in the United States and not speaking or understanding English is an obstacle for them, that is their problem. It is not mine and every other person that speaks and understands English. You want to work in this country, don't have everyone else pay the consequences for you, a minority individual who is one of many that just don't happen to understand because of a language barrier. Learn the language that you need to do your job in. When they see anything from, network with other Arabic, a driver for Uber and Lyft in California is active within a network of other Arabic-speaking drivers. When they see anything comes from Uber, they get scared. They say, oh, if I don't sign it, I cannot log in again. You know, I could talk. I could discuss another reason why these guys are scared when they hear from Uber, but it's not appropriate. Drivers reported that the political messages from Uber and Lyft. What political messages? There's no political messages. This is just a statement. Hey, can you sign this for us and talk to your lawmakers? Tell them that you don't want to forfeit your flexibility and your freedom. That's what they asked. What's political about that? Lyft does offer a Spanish version of its driver app that regularly translates the company's communications, but it did not translate the messages about contacting legislators about protecting work flexibility. Uber also offers its driver app in several languages other than English, including Arabic and Spanish, but according to app screenshots drivers shared with Recoded, it also did not translate the recent political messages into those languages. Well, probably because it never occurred to them to do so, and nobody asked. Recent change, and this is the actual screenshot of the message, I think. Is this it? Oh boy. Yeah. I don't know why. Oh, there we go. It's backwards. Sorry. Let's try it this way. No, if I flip my screen, if I flip my screen, I'll lose the video. I'll have to start all over. Recent changes to California law could threaten your access to flexible work with Uber unless the California takes action to modernize the law. You could lose your ability to work with multiple apps and control when and where you choose to drive to Uber. That is absolutely 100% true. If you are to become an employee and paid an hourly guaranteed wage that the law designates, the company needs to put you on a schedule because they have to make sure that their customers are covered, that they have enough drivers on at the right times of the day and in the right places. The fact of the matter is, with this kind of a situation, I mean, there's a lot of logistics involved, and they are going to require drivers to have territories. It's not going to be, it's going to be totally different. It's going to be a logistics nightmare. And it is going to, it's gonna affect so many drivers because they're not going to be able to pay a lot of us anything at all. Okay? Because they're going to have to, like I said, they're going to have to schedule drivers when they need them, where they need them, and for how long they need them. Because that's how it is when you're an employee and when your workers are employees. This business has always been an independent contractor business. You guys who are, and I don't even understand. We talked about this on the Entrepreneur, and I got in an argument with somebody about it, and then I finally said, okay, all right, I will look at it from a different perspective. Because what Kevin said, or not Kevin, but what somebody who commented on his video about it said was, this is just going to give them leverage. Well, we need to get clarification. We need to resolve this issue. Are we going to be employees, or are we going to be ICs? Because the wage issue is a whole other layer. We do not want to be employees. We want to get paid higher rates. There is a huge difference. I'm just like furious. I am just trying to retire here. Okay? And I am at the point where I need to work 2 extra shifts just to make up the difference in my income from the season to the summer. And on top of that, I'm not making $3,000 a week, which is what I was accustomed to before I drove for Uber and Lyft. And yeah, I had to work 7 days to get that $3,000. Okay, but for $3,000, working 7 days, it was worth it. Now, I'm sitting here and, God, I'm looking at if I work 6 more days this week, because Thursday was my Monday. If I work 6 more days this week and hit all my hours for each shift, if I book 1,200, it'll be a fucking miracle. So, I mean, I've been an independent contractor since I was 23 years old. I'm 56. And these assholes want to take away my freedom and my flexibility. And you know what? If that's all the petition said, then it needs to get signed. And, don't let the recruiting professor twist your guys' heads around, because he has his own agenda, whatever it is. Because I tell you what, when I asked him some real hard questions about this network and this company, I got blocked. My major question is, does this company have work for us? No. He could have said, not at this time. He could have said, no, that's not what this network is about. He could have said, yes, eventually the plan is that we will have an app and offer driver services to the public. No, I got blocked for asking some real hardcore questions. And I don't even remember what the other 3 questions I asked were. But it doesn't matter, because it proves he's got his own agenda. When he can't stand up to somebody that is calling him on his shit. And I've been calling him on his shit for almost 2 years now. And totally ignored me. I told him so about a lot of stuff. And he just goes on and on and on and on and on. There came a point in time when this man, and I'll tell you when it was. It was when he lost $147,000 in referral bonuses and declared that he was filing a lawsuit against them. I don't know if he did or not. And I've never seen a video, if there was one made, on any kind of settlement or resolution. But my personal thoughts on this were, just because you have $147,000 in referral bonuses on your app, it does not mean that all those drivers have met the qualifications for the referrer to get paid. My dad signed up for Lyft under me. Okay, it was a cheesy bonus. Okay, if he did, I got $10 if he did 10 rides. Okay, so I got paid the first 2. And because basically he signed up, he took a couple of Lyft rides, and then he never turned the app back on for like 3 more months. And it said I had $10 in referral bonuses on my app, but I only got paid for 2 of them. $2 for each ride, because he never completed the other 8 rides within the 30 days. And I believe this is what happened to the professor. Okay, because when it changed was when both Uber and Lyft changed and updated their apps when Uber came out with their new app several months ago. Is a whole new app. That's when all that money disappeared off of his account. And it is because he had all that money sitting there on paper, but he has no way of knowing how many drivers that signed up for him, worked 3 hours and quit. I had to, in order to get my Lyft referral bonus for the person that I signed up under, he had a link for $160 bonus for each of us, for me signing up under him. And I needed to do 72 rides in a week. And or whatever it was, I had to do 70 rides. And I don't know how much time that I had, but it was a piece of cake for me, because I just went out and accepted calls, and I think I got it done in like 4 shifts. But yeah, so be careful who you listen to. You need to do your own research, everyone. I mean, some of these guys out here are pretty accurate and pretty honest. But this one dude, he's got his own thing going on, and it has nothing to do with anything except going back to what I said, when I saw a change in the man's physiology. And I am trained by Anthony Robbins in neurolinguistic programming, and I am also trained in body psychology. I know how to read people's physiology. I know how to read eye movement. And first and foremost important is tone of voice, and your tone of voice is 57% of the communication.